it's Ryan, and I'm in Alaska, y'all. Come with me and I'll show you all the cool things you can do in the Anchorage, Seward, and Wasilla areas, even as the temperatures drop, the leaves change, and most of the tourists head home. Traveling in mid-September meant summer tourists and seasonal workers had gone home, but plenty of attractions were still open, and crowds were few and far between. Jordan and I set out with our friends Kelly, Lizzie, and Justin for an unforgettable Alaskan adventure. We had mostly mild fall weather, aside from the chilly mornings, and yellow leaves that will make any New Englander jealous. If you're thinking about traveling to Southcentral Alaska in September, you're in the right place. Let me show you exactly what we did so you can plan your own epic journey to the last frontier. The best way for us to get to Alaska was on Alaska Airlines, of course. We nearly missed our connecting flight, but with a sprint through SeaTac, we barely made it, and surprisingly so did our checked bags. The northern lights gave us a beautiful view as we headed north to Anchorage and to sleep. We didn't spend much time in Anchorage since we weren't in Alaska to hang out in a city, but we did have a couple nice meals, do a little shopping, and meet up with Jordan's friend Evan. So we headed south out of town on the scenic Seward Highway with incredible views, mountains, water, and endless pull-off spots to soak it all in. The main stop we took was at the Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center in Portage. This animal sanctuary takes in injured and orphaned animals to give them the care that they need, and we get to see them and learn all about them. General admission will run you $27 per person, and the main loop can be walked, biked, or seen by car. My favorite animals were the bears and the lynx. After more beautiful vistas heading further south, we arrived in Seward to explore the small coastal port town. The next day we hopped aboard a boat tour of Kenai Fjords National Park. The fjords are really only accessible by boats, and we happened upon lots of wildlife along the way, including what may have been the last puffins around for the season. The cool rain didn't deter us from the main event, Ayalik Glacier, which had incredibly blue ice. The glacier is massive, and we saw some calving, which is where chunks of ice break off from the main glacier as it creeps forward. The tour guides even scooped up a chunk of glacier ice for us to hold. Seeing the glacier up close was an absolute treat. This was the classic Kenai Fjords National Park tour from the Alaska collection. The 6-hour journey at $220 per person, which included lunch, was absolutely worth the cost and effort to do. Heading back north, we passed Anchorage and headed toward the Wasilla and Palmer areas. A great stop along the way that I recommend is the Thunderbird Falls hike. It's an easy 1-mile round trip to the viewing deck, but if you want to get up close to the 200-foot waterfall, take the spur trail for an extra 3/4 of a mile. As you head down the hill, don't forget you'll have to hike back up. Up near Palmer, there was plenty to see. The town was cute for a short stroll, but our first main stop was the Musk Ox Farm. This farm is dedicated specifically to the horned mammals with plenty of opportunities to view them up close. At $14 per person, it's definitely worth a stop for the hour-long tour, especially when musk oxen are your friend's favorite animal. Just down the road is a scenic overlook of the Matanuska River, which gave us some of the most classic Alaskan views, towering mountains, golden fall leaves, and the perfect photos. Our last stop in Palmer was the reindeer farm, featuring an assortment of animals including alpaca, highland cows, bison, and the opportunity to feed elk, moose, and of course reindeer. Our tour of the reindeer farm was about an hour and a half long and cost $15 per person. Just 20 minutes from Palmer is the town of Wasilla, and I'm happy to personally confirm that Sarah Palin cannot see Russia from her house here. Another short hike that's worth seeing is here, the Wasilla Creek Boardwalk Trail. At only a mile round trip and flat, this elevated boardwalk had awesome views of the fall foliage and the surrounding mountains, with a decent chance to spot some wildlife along the way. Wasilla is also home to the headquarters and museum of the nearly 1,000-mile Iditarod sled dog race. Here you can see the Iditarod's trophies and hear the incredible stories of the dogs and mushers who take on this legendary race. The museum itself is free, and for $10 they offer summer sled dog cart rides, but we were just a tad too late in the season to be able to do it. Our cabin was on a lake near town, which had great views across the lake and the occasional seaplane. We took a couple paddle boats to Everett's restaurant and bar down the lake from us, and were surprised by glowing trees and a beautiful rainbow at sunset that night. The salmon in the lake had already spawned, but we were able to catch some trout. I also tried my luck at salmon fishing in the Eklutna Trail Race, which the Department of Fish and Game said might still have some salmon to catch. Unfortunately, all I caught was weeds. The birds, however, had much better luck. And even though we were close to town, it was dark enough to catch a glimpse of the northern lights one early morning. Our final stop might have been the absolute best, Hatcher Pass. And we almost missed it until some locals insisted we check it out. So we headed just 40 minutes north of Wasilla up into the mountains to find the epic beauty of Alaska, and wow, were they right. At the Hatcher Pass summit, the vistas were absolutely stunning in every direction. And just past the summit is the Summit Lake, where we saw someone much braver than us take a dip in the cold water. Just below the pass lies the abandoned Independence Mine, now a state historical park. Wandering through the remains of this once booming gold mine, you can almost hear the echoes of the past amongst the ruins. And before heading down the mountain, make a stop at Hatcher Pass Lodge for food, drinks, live music, and more amazing views. Or even better, plan your stay there at the lodge. I don't know how none of us came across this area on our own, but if it's not on your itinerary yet, add it now. Hatcher Pass is pure Alaskan magic. Overall, Seward, Anchorage, Palmer, Wasilla, and everything around Southcentral Alaska is absolutely beautiful in mid-September. Fewer crowds, stunning fall colors, and everything you could want from an Alaskan adventure. Just bring an extra coat and you're set. That is it for Southcentral Alaska. If you have any questions about anything we did, please leave them in the comments. I'll answer them as soon as I can get to them. In the next video, we're headed inland, north towards Talkeetna, Denali, and Fairbanks. See you in the next video.